on Israel preparing to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, even as Trump tries to negotiate the deal, report says. Okay, so Rob, if you can, if you have a clip, I don't know if you have a clip on this. No, you don't.
I don't.
Okay. Israel, U.S. intelligence officials, this is from New York Post, cited by CNN, report Israel is preparing a possible strike on Iran's nuclear facility, with a source stating the chance of an Israel strike on an Iranian nuclear facility has gone up significantly in recent months, and a prospect of a Trump-negotiated U.S.-Iran deal that doesn't remove all of Iran's uranium makes the chances of a strike more likely. Intercepted messages and Israel military movements, including air munitions and exercises, indicate an imminent attack despite President Trump's diplomatic efforts. Israel feels caught between a rock and a hard place due to the stated stalled U.S.-Iran talks, with former intelligence officer Jonathan Panikov noting, at the end of the day, the Israeli decision-making is going to be predicated on U.S. policy determinations and actions and what agreement President Trump does or does not come to with Iran. Adam.
Vinny, you go first. Go ahead. I'm sending Rob something.
Okay, well, listen, Trump is trying to work out a deal to keep things from spiraling.
This highlights the precarious balance of diplomacy versus military action, showcasing how leaders often walk a tightrope between peace and conflict. The stakes are high, and Trump's negotiations could either stabilize or exacerbate tensions with Iran.
Right? He's working on diplomacy. That's the angle, the anti-war angle, and trying to avoid another pointless war, okay? And Israel is moving like they don't give a damn, and I get it. Iran is bad. Let's put that to the side. But like, diplomacy is just a stall tactic, and what they really want is strikes. Okay, Bibi's, it's not like he's hiding it. He wants us and them to go to war with Iran. You guys remember last week when I reported about Mike Waltz using the Israeli signal chat? What was he doing? He wasn't messing around. He was in contact with Israeli officials that they were discussing national policy, Iran being on the forefront, and he was trying to quietly help persuade to pull us in a conflict that we're watching unfold in front of our eyes, okay? But even with them gone, Israel's acting, they're still going to move without us. The reports are coming out that Bibi and Trump, they're not really cool. They're not really on talking terms. But listen, this Iran strikes, it's going to lead to a freaking war. Israel's our allies. We're going to get dragged into this shit. I don't want any American troops or any other war. Trump is trying to avoid it at all costs. But Bibi, if Bibi wants it, Bibi's going to get it. If he wants to do it, good luck. Go do your thing, okay? Don't be dragging us into that shit, because we know that's what's going to come out. And I don't care about any other country except America. And I want zero American troops to be in harm's way because of a guy that's been begging for a war. Yes, they're bad, and there's other ways to take care of Iran, but bombing and starting another war, I'm not a fan of it at all, period.
Adam.
Well, listen, Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, I think they're on the same page. They have aligned interests, but they don't have the exact same interests. So you're going to disagree with an ally of yours. You're not going to agree on everything, because there's two totally different things going on here. Trump, at his fiber of his being, he's a deal maker. He wants to make a deal. He wants to show, yeah, that deal that Obama did was a bad deal. I want to put together a good deal. Trump wants to win. Bibi Netanyahu, he's worried about his existence. You've heard the term existential threat? Iran is an existential threat to not only Israel, to the rest of the world, to the rest of the region. Why do you think there's Saudi Arabia? Why do you think even Qatar? Why do you think UAE is so keen to do a deal here? Because they know that the threat to the Western civilization or to the modernization of the world is the Islamic regime in Iran. So Trump's concern is not as extreme as Bibi Netanyahu's. So would Trump like to see a deal? Hell yeah. Would Netanyahu like to see some function of a deal? Hell yeah. But if a deal isn't done, in my opinion, there's one thing that the Israeli government, whether it's left, right, center, is not going to allow happen, and that is the Islamic Republic of Iran to get a nuclear weapon. We all know that they have allegedly taken out some of the scientists, the nuclear scientists. They go missing. They take these people out. They all know that they have taken down some of their defense missile capabilities. So the next logical step is, if someone's an existential threat, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Death to America, death to Israel. There's a clock. I don't know if you can find this. There's a clock in Iran, and it's the Israel death clock. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You're not dealing with logical actors. They believe in jihad. They believe in Sharia law. They believe in the afterlife. And if that's what you believe, you're willing to take out everybody around you to accomplish that goal. Here's Iran's doomsday clock for Israel's end. Well, ironically, it ran out of power right there. But they're an existential threat. And yeah.
The urgency in this statement underscores the severe implications of Iran's nuclear ambitions. It reveals a broader narrative of perceived threats, which often justifies aggressive foreign policy decisions, igniting fears of a regional conflict that could have global ramifications.
They might be coming for Israel, but they're also coming for the Western world. And do you see these stories, by the way, shifting gears, about people just out there saying they're Islamifying churches now? Because in my opinion, you correct me if I'm wrong, first they come for the Saturday people, the Jews, and then they're coming for the Sunday people, buddy. That's you guys. So you might be thinking, well, look, just let them deal with the Jews. That's no big deal. You think they're stopping there, my Christian friends, my Catholic friends? They're coming for you next.
And the useful idiots die last.
Yeah, and then they're going to recruit.
Rob, go ahead and play the clip.
Dumb Americans. Go ahead. Who's this guy?
We are buying these churches. We bought 3 churches so far, converted them to masjids, and now we have one we are buying with a school to make it, because we have to serve the same people. The people who were part of that community, one day they will be Muslims. So we'll make it into a masjid and an Islamic school for our children and their children, inshallah. 100 years ago, they invaded the Muslim world and they built missionary schools and destroyed Islamic schools and masjids. Today, we bring the favor back, turn their churches into masjids and their schools into Islamic schools. Bring the light of Islam to here. We're able to buy ready to go institutions that have been there for a long time, but they emptied out. And now it is time to be filled with Muslims, with reverts, converts. This is an election year, but we're not going to be happy with either candidate. We have to be happy when Islam becomes the best candidate for us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give Islam the victory in this country.
Tom, your thoughts on what's going on with Israel, Iran, Israel attacking Iran? Are you uncomfortable with it? Where are you at with that?
No, look, the fact that it's in a headline doesn't mean that it's not happening if there's no headline. The U.S. and Israel strategically work to neutralize assets all the time. And it just happened that Soleimani and a motorcade around the back of a airport was a high visibility target, and that missile made a loud sound. But there are underlings and people that are getting neutralized all the time. You see and so I do not believe for a minute that the U.S. and the UK, by the way, even though the UK is teetering because of its government, they are still supporting the neutralization of the nuclear capability.
This assertion emphasizes the alliance's commitment to preventing nuclear proliferation, but it also hints at the potential for military engagement. The reliance on military options raises critical ethical questions about intervention and the consequences of such actions.
And, if the rumor is that Israel's going to do it, Israel may do it, but the dog don't go off the leash unless we unclip it. And the U.S. is right there with it. So Israel's not going to be acting alone on there, because to take out centrifuges and capabilities, that's in everybody's interest, and we're right there with them. And so do I think that where there's smoke, there's fire, that there's something cooking here? If our intelligence tells us that they are really close on the systems and everything, where they can do that with the uranium, now you've got core. It's not terribly hard to build the bomb around that, and then you just you deploy the bomb, which is why Japan's been getting so nervous for the past 15 years when North Korea keeps building slightly better and slightly better and slightly better, missiles that they casually launch into the water. And they have these.
And South Korea is even more concerned than Japan.
And South Korea is like, that thing just flew by us, and everybody's concerned about it. So, and that's why, what did Trump do? Trump went over there and talked to the kid, right? In North Korea.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
The kid?
Yeah. Because his dad was even
grandson,
more bonkers. So what do I think? I think that you have to neutralize what's going on there in terms of nuclear capability.
Yeah. What if Israel doesn't listen? What if Israel says, we're going to do it anyways?
Without Trump's approval, and after a week after they were trying to go behind his back to push him to go and fight
What
with
if
Iran.
they don't listen?
Well,
why would they have to listen? Meaning,
What do you mean? I want to hear this, and
Hang
then
on a
I'll
second.
tell you.
Hang on a second. I actually agree.
yeah.
But go ahead. What if Israel's like, dude, we're going to attack?
there's half of our government will be very happy about that.
More than
the
half.
hawks, and the other half of our government will be, gritting its teeth and hoping that it's a surgical destruction of it, and everybody else stands down.
Adam, thoughts?
Listen,
What is this, by the way, you put up here?
This is a senior Hamas official basically saying that this is why they advocate for the war, because they play down the significance of the casualties in Gaza. He says, there's been our women's wombs will produce many more babies. 50,000 people were born in Gaza during the war, just like the number of casualties. Thanks to the war, Westerners convert to Islam. U.S. students support Palestine liberation from the river to the sea. Useful idiots. So back to the initial question about the Iran, why would they listen? I don't think we fully understand in America. There's a big difference between the Midwest and the Middle East. In the Middle East, unfortunately, the reality of life there, in many cases, it's kill or be killed. It's eat or be eaten. It's a totally different world of what's going on in the Middle East. It's so funny. I never saw any protests on any college campuses when hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people were dead in Syria, in Yemen, in Sudan to this day. Nothing. Zero protests. Zero. But when Israel gets attacked and they try to basically eliminate Hamas, it's a genocide. We all know what's happening. It's been fooled. And the smartest people at the nicest college campuses on the world have been fooled. So as far as your exact question about why would Israel listen, I think they will listen up to the point where they're like, we can't listen anymore because they're a week away from a bomb and it's us or them. By the way, here's a little fun question. Do you think Israel has a nuke right now, today?
I do, of course.
Do you think they have one?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Of course I do.
So
Absolutely.
if of course they have it, if they're so interested in doing genocide, why don't they do it?
Because if
Why don't
Israel
they do
launches
it?
a nuclear weapon, Adam, it
At
would
who?
be at anybody.
What do you mean?
Who's just gonna? Everybody has nukes. Who's
No,
gonna launch a nuke?
not everybody has nukes.
The majority, the major, like us or China.
What? No,
If
no,
Israel,
no.
what
But
are you
if
trying to say?
you're
that I'm
saying if
confused?
Israel nuked Iran
yeah,
or nuked Gaza,
okay,
Iran doesn't have a weapon.
okay.
The Gazans have missiles. They could do this, but they have no interest in this.
Well, they know that
The
it'd
whole
be
conversation
it would
about
not be good if Israel.
But nobody wants that. But when you say everyone has nukes, no, nobody in the Middle East has nukes. Only Pakistan. And they're more concerned about India. Believe that. So when you say, well, everybody has it, no, they don't.
The majority
But
of
if
the major
Israel was
nations have-
interested in using it, if they had nukes, they would do it. What's the whole conversation about, if Israel puts their guns down, if the militants put their guns down, there'll be peace. If Israel puts their weapons down, there'll be a slaughter. Do you know the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Tim Kennedy?
Yeah.
Do you know that? Have you ever seen this clip? Can we play this? I fully believe in this.
You think I'm Israel, you're the Palestinians in Gaza. If every one of the people in Gaza laid down the arms and stopped attacking, what would I, Israel, do to you? Nothing. They've tried it 5 different times. They've literally stop Israel has never, not one time in history, initiated any conflict. Every single one of those things that you're pointing to is a retaliatory attack by a terrorist organization. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. If the
Adam, where are you going? Where are you going right now? You're saying what? You're saying if Israel has nuclear warheads, I think both Israel and Iran have them.
I don't think Iran has them yet.
I think they have
You
them.
want to know why I don't think they have them?
Tell me.
Because they would use them. Straight
Well,
up.
then it'd be the end of everybody.
No, I don't think so.
Iran.
Does North Korea have nuclear weapons?
They do.
Okay, so how come they haven't used it?
Because what country is constantly shouting death to fill in the
Two
blank?
countries have said death to America. It's U.S. and it's North Korea and it's Iran. But how come he hasn't used it yet?
Because North Korea.
But this is kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
You said something. I want to tighten it up, and we got to wrap it up because we got to move on. If you were going to get to a point, I'm going to just say my point on this thing here on what question I asked.
Yeah.
I said,
why would they listen?
Why would they listen?
Okay, because at some point you either have individual autonomy as a country or you don't. This whole conversation of Israel controls America, really? That seems completely far-fetched to me. I thought that Andrew Schultz made a great point that if some country controls another country, it'd be the country with the greatest GDP and the greatest military and the greatest economy in the world, not a tiny little country in the Middle East that's controlling the other country. It would seem that Israel is the bagman for the United States, not the other way around. So if Israel, any country that has to listen to another country in order to survive, isn't a country at all. So I think that they will listen. Like I will listen to you as my boss, as my CEO, as my mentor, but I'll live my life.
Runs America?
I think Israel has a huge influence on America.
No, I didn't say that. The question is, do you think Israel controls Trump?
No.
Okay. So
I don't think Israel controls Trump.
Do you think Israel controls America today?
I don't think it controls America. No, I think it has a major influence.
Sure,
especially
but so does China. So do a lot of different people.
I don't think anybody.
Who has
controls...
more influence over America, China or Israel? Think about the amount of money they're putting in schools, universities. Who has more influence? The amount of land China's buying, the amount of people they're buying, the amount of who has more influence in U.S., China or Israel? What do you think?
If you're going to talk about
But
trade,
hang on, I want to see what he's going to say. I want to see what Vinny's going to say.
But China has to register as a foreign agent, don't they? They have to. Israel doesn't.
Sure, yeah, but to me, and the reason they did that is because they wanted people to go back to. It's like imagine right now, we get close to Trump, and President Trump allows Assyria to be a nation, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to reach out to all the famous Assyrians around the world, and then they say, Patrick, Vinny, why don't you guys come to Assyria, buy land, buy some home, do something here. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? If the president allows you to have a passport to go and be a, what do they call it when you're dual citizen here in Assyria, would you take it?
To have dual citizenship to go
for
here
in Assyria. Assyria got a land back. Would you take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
But Shmimu Muru,
Yeah.
They're Jewish. They're proud. They're going to take it.
Yeah.
But this is the part where I'm going. Let me tell you where I'm at, which my position's a little bit weird. He goes to the Middle East, doesn't go meet with who?
Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah. And he meets with everybody else. It's a 1 hour flight, 2 hour flight. Doesn't meet with them. Okay, no problem. And, well, it's not a big deal. It wasn't their meeting and da-da-da-da-da. No problem. If Trump publicly says don't attack and Israel attacks, there's a part of me that is okay with that. Not likes that, is okay with that. Because we didn't say attack. So now if you go, you're on an island on your own. Don't call me now. So that's not a fight I wanted to be a part of. It's a fight that you chose to be a part of. Make sense? Guys, how many times in school would they come up to you and they said, there's a fight after school, come with us?
Of course.
And I'm like, bro, you hooked up with his sister. I'm not.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You started this bullshit. I'm not participating in this. It's like, no, here's what happened. Okay, let's go. What's going to be happening, right? And it's a different approach to defend your friends versus not defending your friends. In a case like this, the guy is saying, don't start the fight. Then he says it publicly to everybody. Don't start the fight. And then if you want to start the fight, guess what? Start the fight. I'm just not there. If you win or lose, it's your fight. Don't get me involved. But I want to publicly make sure Iran knows we don't want a war, right? We don't want a war. So if Bibi wants to own this thing here and be his thing, go ahead, Bibi. But the world knows this is not the U.S. supporting your attack. This is your attack. Your attack alone that you're making a decision of. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Can I flip it on you?
Sure.
How much longer are you or the proud Persian Iranian people willing to just see the Islamic Ayatollahs run your country? Do you want to go your entire life never being able to go back to Iran? Serious question. Because when they're running that country and they have that mind frame, you're never going to go back. Your kids are never going to go back. But my point is this: it needs to come to an end at some point.
Those are two different conversations.
But I think it's two different parts of the same conversation.
Yeah. So
of whatever is going on with this regime, at some point needs to stop.
Is there a different way of doing it instead of bombing them, which is going to turn into a full-on war? That say what you want, we don't want it. We're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to, especially if it escalates to Israel just against Iran.
Not under Trump.
No, I don't.
You don't
Not
think
under
so?
Trump.
I don't.
Not under Trump.
I'm
I
not.
would be
I'm not
very-
Not
supporting
under Trump.
any
You know what Trump
U.S.
would do?
troops being on the ground at all.
Not under Trump. Under any other president, under Nikki Haley, 100%. Under anybody else, not under Trump. But the other part to say what he's saying, okay? Sometimes there's a guy that everybody wants to take out, but you don't want to fight him.
In this tense exchange, we see the complexities of international relations as the specter of conflict looms large. Trump's diplomatic efforts face the hard reality of Israel's military readiness, emphasizing that while negotiations may be underway, the threat from Iran remains very real. Stay informed as we navigate these geopolitical waters together.